and we would like to say, and your process is terrific, and you do the same. Happy birthday, WDSU.
Being There, 35 years of TV6, featuring highlights from WDSU programs from the past, and a look at the future, New Orleans' first television station, with your hosts, Bill Stanley and Margaret Orr, of TV6's Breakfast Edition.
Howdy. Some of you might be just a little surprised to see us on just past supper time, but we're here for a very special reason. TV6 is celebrating an anniversary, and we all share a lot of good memories of the DSU programs and coverage of events through the years. As a matter of fact, what we just saw was an excerpt from our 10th anniversary special, which was around the time I came to work here at what was then DSU radio and television stations.
And Bill, I'm really excited. I found some great photos, films, and videotapes, and I had the best time researching the great history of my favorite television station. You know, I bet you didn't have to look up a thing.
Oh, a few things.
A few.
If Miss Muffin, Midday, The Great McNutt, or even Morgus sound familiar, then stay tuned. And while we're taking a brief stroll down memory lane, we're also going to take you on a brief stroll around our station.
And we've started our tour right here in the historic courtyard of WDSU TV at 520 Royal Street. But the real TV6 story started downtown in the tiny tower offices of the Hibernia Bank building. And Bill, I guess that was back in December 1948. Is that right?
That's exactly right. And as a matter of fact, I did hear a great story about what the cameramen had to do when they needed a wide shot. They had to back up the camera into the ladies' powder room.
Oh, Bill, you aren't serious.
I am serious.
Well, thank heavens the station moved 2 years later. I don't think I would have used that ladies' powder room. At any rate, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back, and we'll visit the studios of TV6. Stay with us. Well, here we are in TV6's Studio B. And you know, Bill, I bet this set looks familiar to our Breakfast Edition viewers.
Meg, the Breakfast Edition has been on the air for 22 years almost.
And you were there from the very beginning.
And delighted to be.
Bill, it's photo album time. And have we got some pictures of you? Take a look at this handsome devil.
Look at the haircut.
I like the blue eyes.
How about the lapels?
Nice.
This is 1958, when I had just started at DSU Radio.
And there you are with Ep Roberts.
Ep did the weather on the Breakfast Edition for a number of years. Then it was Bart Darby, and even Dan Milham for a while. Then there was Meg.
And I'm delighted to be here. You know, Bill, you've taught me a lot over this past 2.5-year period.
I hope so.
Looking around Studio B, with Studio A behind us, you can actually see how these old studios were built to resemble Hollywood sound stages. Now, our studios were constructed back in 1950, and of course, those were the days before Channel 6 was hooked up live to NBC. Consequently, we had to do a lot of programming.
Right.
And the things we did here were absolutely amazing.
Such is the time we constructed a big swimming pool right here on this spot in this studio.
You had a swimming pool in this studio, whatever for?
To show life-saving techniques
Well, how did you shoot the swimmers?
through the plexiglass sides of the swimming pool.
You know, back in the 1950s, WDSU used to do a lot of musical programming, like the Leon Kellner Show.
Good show.
Well, it was a 15-minute program where the former band leader over at the Blue Room would accompany these popular records of the time with his piano.
And, gee, I know a lot of people remember the station's telecast of a lot of music specials, such as the one from Lentland's Restaurant.
I heard that was the music hotspot back in the 40s and the 50s.
And look, there is a young Pete Fountain.
And, Bill, what's this I hear about the parking lot?
Some of our viewers may remember singer Maggie Brooks and the music show Harmony Hall. In the early 50s, musicians Phil Gordon and Pete Laudeman frequently performed before the station cameras. And DSU also originated many network telecasts, such as the Colgate Hour, which was here in 1955. Gordon McRae and Peggy Lee performed for a national audience from the courtyard of
The Court of Two Sisters.
Right, and Louis Armstrong played his trumpet for the nation here on Bourbon Street. Why, singer John Gary had his own show on TV6 in the early years, and he was a popular favorite.
What about Around the Town with Mr. Brown?
Well, that was originated by TV6 so that people could stay in their own living rooms and still see the top entertainment spots all around the town.
Well, I heard that it was sponsored by Mr. Brown, Brown's Velvet.
You got it. And the first show around the town with Mr. Brown came from the Blue Room, and from there they went to many famous spots.
And you know, Bill, WDSU did another show that was all about what was going on in town. It aired from the 50s into the early 70s. It came on during the week at noon. Name that show, Bill Stanley.
Midday.
That's right.
Gee, does that bring back the memories. As a matter of fact, it was telecast from a set right over there.
From the new Center 6 set?
Exactly.
Bill, I've got to tell you this. I scrounged around in the prop room last night, and I came up with the old Midday sign.
That's it. That's really it. Meg, you know, Vera Massa did a show called Our House, but most people remember Terry Fletridge as the hostess of Midday for so many years. And there was Al Shea, who did the television entertainment review, and he was probably one of the first critics in the country.
He was.
And then who can forget Wayne Mack and the way he used to needle those ladies from the Civic and Garden Clubs who'd come down to have lunch and be on Midday.
Oh, and they got all fixed up, and they couldn't wait to be on TV, and then when Wayne Mack would come over, they'd just button up. They wouldn't say a word. You know, Bob and Jan Carr also had their own show. They were part of the Midday family, but their show was Second Cup, and it was on the air for a while. It was actually telecast from the rooftop of the Royal Orleans. And in our quest to bring you some of the more entertaining film clips from the TV6 vaults, we now bring you the opening of Second Cup.
Meg, I think we ought to point out that Bob and Jan Carr still are in New Orleans. Al Shea and Wayne Mack are still here, and they're active in the media. And Terry Fletridge has been living in Maine for some years, but she visits us occasionally. She always gets in touch with us.
She writes us, too.
Yes, she does. Come on, let's go over to the
Okay.
kitchen set.
In its own way, TV6 has always paid very special attention to the New Orleans cooking tradition. You know, Bill, in the early 50s, Channel 6 did a show. It was a cooking show with Amanda Lee and also with Lena Richards. Lena came first, though. That was the New Orleans Cookbook Show.
Right.
And each show was in a production of an entire meal. They were assisted by Marie Matthews. And you know Marie.
Marie Matthews, one of my favorites.
You know, she still works here at the station. 33 years she's been here.
That's as long as you and I combined.
That's right. There were some other great chefs that we had here as well.
That's right. We had Chef Paul Blanger from Brennan's for years, and Scoop Kennedy. They were regulars on the Midday show.
And, Bill, our next clip defies description because it's about a local personality who defies description. And, you know, we've been showing you all these different shows. And in this one, it was an interview Al Shea had with the mad scientist Morgus the Magnificent.
Morgus the Magnificent.
You know, Morgus was here in the early 70s at Channel 6 just for a while.
Just briefly.
And do I remember Morgus?
Say, it really is nice of you, Dr. Margaret, to let me come by here today to talk to you. So many of our Midday viewers are really anxious to know what do you mind not standing so close?
Oh, I'm sorry.
What you really like.
Well, I got a lot of chemicals here, and of course I'm sorry about the place, but you know, cleanliness is next to nothingness. I tell you, it's what you do that counts in this world.
That's true. I'm wondering why, with this being such a famous laboratory, it's so, if you excuse the word, filthy.
Oh, no, my friends. I don't move anything. You see, once I create an experiment, I want it to stay just like it was. It falls right where it was. It's part of history. In other words, you don't wipe it away. There's no other way to record it. You think those idiots out there give me any credit for what I do here? That's why see all these colors here, all these chemicals? I never wash this.
They're like badges of past experiments.
That's right. You got it. That's their badges. That's what they are. That means this was one particular experiment. I remember what caused that.
What's that?
Well, I won't go into it. I remember what caused this, various experiments.
I tell you, it looks to me there's like a lot of blood. Is that blood?
What an interview.
Remind me not to be around when Morgus does an experiment. Forget that.